I don't think we have seen Shakur face anyone higher than who he's gonna face next, and that's of me. So, I definitely, commend him at least for stepping up to the plate. But I think it's time. I think it's really that time for him to really take his first loss, and me whoop his ass to the point where either he quits on the stool or I knock him out.
Was interesting. What did you make of his vibe overall?
I think something mentally wrong with him. I don't think he's like all the way there mentally. I think he's crazy.
Legit?
That's my opinion. Yeah, I think he's legit crazy. I think something really wrong with him, but that's what make him dangerous. I think them the guys is the most dangerous people. Them delusional, crazy people who want to be the best and want their spot at greatness. So I gotta respect it, but I think something is definitely off with him.
Teofimo Lopez went toe-to-toe with Shakur Stevenson live
recently, where he talked about people are going to see my power. They talk a lot about my defense, but they're going to see my power in this fight against Teofimo.
Shakur is slow. He's slow. I seen him at lightweight. I seen only highlights of his last fight with Cepeda, and he's slow. He's really slow. There's nothing more to it than that.
Like, even if they're not friends, but they know each other like that, one of two things always happens. Okay. Either it's a sparring session or it's brutal.
This ain't gonna be no sparring session. This is not gonna be no sparring session.
What's it gonna be?
He's coming to win. I'm coming to win. I guarantee you that.
I'm coming to conquer.
You're not conquering shit. You're not conquering shit.
And you could feel the switch flip the moment he said this isn't Twitter fingers anymore. This is rent due boxing. Teo basically laughed at the online back and forth and said, yeah, we've been trading shots on social media. Now let's trade them where it actually counts. And I loved that energy because it felt less promo script and more, I'm tired of typing.
Shakur is a very talented, skillful, technique fighter.
Yeah.
Can't take anything away from it. However, scared to get hit. Scared to get knocked out in front of the world, scared to get touched up in front of the world.
Are you saying that off of the last fight or just
in general?
In general.
In general.
Yeah.
In general. Me and Shakur sparred before. We did 3 rounds, and it was just light work and me trying to figure out his jab. Does he have a good jab? Yeah, he does. But once you pass his jab, it's game.
Yeah.
It's food. It's lunch food.
He even gave Shakur his respect in a backhanded way, saying Shakur deserves credit for jumping straight to 140 with no tune-ups and stepping out of his comfort zone, but you could hear the follow-up loading like a power shot. Teo said flat out he's handing Shakur his first L and that it's not going to go how Shakur thinks, which is classic Teo confidence, bordering on delusion, but that's always been part of the package.
He's just coming right to the guy, and that's me. The king of the 140 division, super lightweight division, that's Teofimo Lopez. And, he's willing to step up, get out of his comfort zone, and yeah, I give him that. However, it's not going to happen. I would love to, and I see myself giving him his first loss in his professional career.
Teofimo Lopez says that he's going to fight Shakur Stevenson dirty.
Stylistically, when you see a fighter like him, it is not illegal to do certain punches and throw certain punches or hit certain areas.
I heard that concept from an icon.
That's depending on how masterful he is. You have to be dirty. You gotta be rough. You have to use elbows, head, bending up. You have to use everything. This guy, as far as his style is concerned, this guy is a master fighter.
Then he dropped the real grenade. He said fighting Shakur means making it ugly, because if you try to out-chess the chess master, fans fall asleep and judges start flipping coins. He straight up rejected the whole best defense in boxing label, said he sees flaws, called Shakur slow, overrated speed, and claimed nobody Shakur's fought is on his level yet.
I can't be too technical with Shakur. You gotta make it a little ugly. You gotta make it a little ugly. If you try to be too technical with Shakur, it could be too long of a weighted chess match. Certain people don't want to see that. They don't want to see pop shots. They want to see good action. I don't think, for me, I don't see Shakur having the best defense in boxing. However, others can attest that. So, I just can't wait to really show the flaws that I see in Shakur Stevenson and, really putting that to the test when that time comes.
And right on cue, Shakur fires back with that calm menace, saying stuff like, "Speed don't need hype, it shows up on time," and "Everybody sees flaws until they start missing," which honestly might be scarier than yelling. Teo talking about forcing a quit or a knockout after finding his fire again, especially after Times Square, sounds wild.
And though Shakur Stevenson is no Floyd Mayweather, he is considered probably the most superior, technically sound boxer in the world. So with Teofimo Lopez saying, "Hey, I'm going to do things that people may think is dirty, but it's legal. I can't fight in a very sound sportsmanship manner. I have to create chaos." And maybe Shakur Stevenson, maybe he can't operate in the chaos.
But that's the kind of belief that makes fights dangerous. Shakur counters with higher weight, same brain, and reminds him that being around Crawford doesn't give ambition, it sharpens discipline. This isn't just trash talk colliding, it's two identities crashing head first, chaos daring control to blink first. And I'm telling you, somebody's confidence is getting audited in real time.
He called out Crawford in the past, and you know, Crawford stated, "Oh, you want to get to me."
Yeah, but he
fight
really
Shakur
want to
first.
fight Crawford, and we're gonna call him out after we beat up his boy. You know,
So that's the game plan.
That's
Even
the
though
game
you guys
plan.
have, even if he requires you,
Well, he
guys
ain't
to go
gonna
up.
fight us, man. He ain't gonna fight us, man. We've been chasing this guy for the longest. My son is even willing to go up to 160 to fight him. You know, listen, speed kills. You know what I'm saying? Speed kills, and that's why we're gonna beat Shakur. He ain't faster than us, and we're gonna catch him. We're gonna catch him.
And right after Teofimo and Shakur spent all that time trading confidence like it was currency, Robert Garcia steps in and quietly reminds everybody that hype doesn't win rounds, decisions do. Garcia called it a great matchup, and I like how he didn't overcook it, because when a trainer like that says great, he's really saying dangerous for both. He acknowledged Teo's big wins and Shakur chasing history as a 3-division champ moving toward a 4th, but then he pivoted to the part fans always skip past, heart and brains.
Teofimo has had some great performances, great wins. Shakur is also a 3-division champion going for his 4th. You know, unbelievable talent. It's a fight where you know we're gonna see talent from both, but we also have to see heart. That who has that heart to become the man. You know.
Garcia basically said this fight isn't about who looks flashier on Instagram, it's about who plays the better cards and who doesn't blink first. And that's such a coach answer it almost hurts. When he talks about this possibly not being wild action but still having everyone standing up, that's real boxing language, because some fights feel tense like a wire pulled tight where every jab feels like it could tip the whole night. I'm with him there because this isn't a fight where mistakes get erased, they get punished. Garcia saying it's about who's smarter and who makes fewer errors lines up perfectly with what we've been circling this whole time.
Especially if Teofimo comes in at his best, because we've seen some great performances, but then we've also had those questions about Teofimo's mind, mentality in boxing, his future. So hopefully we get the best Teofimo, the Teofimo that wants to be the best in the world, because we know Shakur is one of those. Shakur always comes in as best. He wants it so bad.
Teo thrives when chaos bends his way. Shakur thrives when chaos gets denied entry. And the prime comment matters too, because we don't get this enough. Two elite guys at the same time. No excuses, no 5 years too late narratives. I also caught Garcia subtly saying heart matters just as much as IQ, which is a quiet reminder that chess matches still require nerve when the clock is ticking. This fight isn't about dominance, it's about composure under pressure, and Garcia basically told you without yelling that whoever manages their emotions better might walk out with everything.
I think that fight's gonna be more about who's smarter, who plays the better cards, and who doesn't make mistakes. Because it's gonna be one of those fights where we might not have too much action, but we're all gonna be standing up because we want to see who's gonna land and who's gonna be the one that finds those punches to land. It's a very interesting fight, and they're both in their prime. They're both, you know, that's what boxing is about, you know.
And right after Robert Garcia laid that calm, grown man blueprint about composure and decision making, Mikey Garcia slides into the conversation sounding like the guy who's fought the puzzle and knows it doesn't come with instructions. Mikey didn't pretend there's some magic cheat code to Shakur, and I respect that, because when he says it's hard to say, that's not dodging, that's honesty. He pointed straight at Teofimo's size and time at the weight, basically saying, look, if you're the bigger, stronger guy, you don't ignore that, you lean into it, because advantages don't mean anything if you leave them in the locker room. But what made Mikey's take interesting is how quickly he pivoted to reality, because right after mentioning size, he starts listing Shakur's defense, speed, footwork, like a checklist of headaches. That's Mikey acknowledging the danger without romanticizing it.
Do to kind of deal with a guy like Shakur Stevenson, how would you approach a fighter like Shakur Stevenson if you were Teofimo Lopez with the attributes that he has?
I would think Teofimo, being that technically he's a bigger fighter, bigger size, he's been at the weight class a little more, and then just maybe built into it more. I would think he would have to use that, size as an advantage.
He's basically saying, yeah, Teo might be stronger, but Shakur is one of those fighters who makes strength feel theoretical if you can't put him where you want him. And when Mikey said Shakur is one of the most skilled fighters out there, that wasn't hype, that was a warning label, because skill like that doesn't crack just because you want it to. I also caught the subtext in Mikey's tone, because he wasn't talking about power shots or moments. He was talking about mentality, about whether Teofimo is disciplined enough to actually fight like the bigger man instead of trying to out-finesse a finesse fighter. That's the real question here. You and I know Teo has the tools, but Mikey is quietly asking whether Teo can stay patient enough to apply pressure without rushing himself into Shakur's traps. It's not about bullying, it's about controlled authority. Mikey isn't saying Teo can't win. He's saying if Teo wins, it'll be because he commits to who he is physically and mentally, not because he tries to be cleverer than the guy who lives off clever. That's a subtle take, but those are usually the ones that age the best.
More, I would think he would have to use that, size as an advantage. But it's hard to say, because, Shakur Stevenson's so fucking good at what he does. Defense is on point, speed is on point, footwork is on point. And, he's really one of the best skilled fighters out there. So it's hard to say, oh, this is what you gotta do. No, it ain't easy, trust me. But being Teofimo, again, if he's bigger, naturally stronger, then he should try to use that, to his advantage.
And right after Mikey Garcia calmly hinted that this whole thing comes down to whether Teofimo can actually commit to being the bigger man mentally, Andre Rosier jumps in, sounding like the coach who's already 10 steps ahead on the whiteboard. When Rosier talks about this fight, you can tell he's not dazzled by stats or favorites, because he immediately frames it as polar opposites, and that's the key word. He called Teo a sharp, big puncher, and Shakur articulate to the 9th degree, which is a fancy way of saying one guy breaks doors, the other picks locks. And when Rosier says this isn't about raw action, but about who executes the better game plan, that's not him downplaying excitement. That's him warning you this is the kind of fight where one mistake feels like stepping on a rake. I loved how he brushed off the betting odds and said 50-50, because that's a coach talking, not a fanboy. He's basically saying, I don't care what the numbers say, I care who rises when the thinking gets hard.
It's going to be a very entertaining but intriguing bout. You have polar, okay, y'all take care. You have polar opposites in the ring. They do what they do very well. Teo is a sharp, big puncher. Shakur is articulate to the 9th degree. It's going to be entertaining. I can't wait for it myself. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to saying, oh, the best man won. Definitely. For sure.
Now, he really got into the meat of it when he broke down Shakur's defense, because Rosier didn't call it invincible, he called it reactive. He flat out said defensive fighters are hunting counters, which means if you let them breathe, you're volunteering to get punished. His solution wasn't reckless pressure, it was smart volume, staying busy, staying tenacious, forcing sequences instead of moments. That line about making someone miss once or twice but not 8 times, that's coaching gold. He's telling Teo, don't swing once and admire your work, drown the system until it glitches. And what really stood out is how much Rozier emphasized denying Shakur time to think, because Shakur with time is a problem. Shakur without time is a different conversation. This wasn't trash talk, this was surgical. Rozier isn't promising fireworks, he's promising tension. The kind where you're leaning forward because every exchange feels like it might tilt the entire fight.
In them exchange and who pulls off the best. All right there, nephew. Who pulls off the best game plan?
Absolutely. Shakur's a 3.5 to 1 favorite to win this fight. You think it's a little bit closer than that, or what do you think?
3.5 to 1. Wow, really?
That's kind of crazy, right?
I think that myself, I've got it like 50-50 right now.
Exactly.
We're gonna see who rises to the occasion. Really. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. It's one of those bouts that it piques your interest and you want to see them give their all. And I can't wait.
And that's why this take matters, because it connects Mikey's mentality question with an actual plan. It's not about cracking Shakur's defense with one big idea. It's about overwhelming it with intent, discipline, and pressure that doesn't panic. That's how coaches think, and that's why this fight keeps getting more dangerous the more smart people talk about it. So when you stack all of this together, this fight stops looking like a prediction game and starts feeling like a personality test. Teofimo is coming in loud, volatile, convinced that chaos is the shortcut to truth, while Shakur is calm, surgical, betting that discipline ages better than adrenaline. You've got trainers and fighters all circling the same pressure point from different angles. Teo has to force the pace without losing himself. Shakur has to control the space without letting confidence turn into comfort. Nobody's denying the talent on either side anymore. The debate is about identity. Does explosion overwhelm control, or does control suffocate explosion? Is this the night Teofimo proves that peak Teo shows up when the lights are hottest? Or is this the moment Shakur confirms that consistency beats ceiling every time? That's the real tension here. And that's why this fight matters beyond belts or odds.
The thing you have to remember about defensive fighters is that they are looking to set up a counter. That's what most defensive fighters do anyway. And he can't wait for those things to happen. He has to be busy and he has to be tenacious. That's how he can stay ahead of the defense. Because if you make me miss once, you make me miss twice. If I throw 5 more, it's very difficult to make me miss 8 punches.
Now I want to hear from you. Who do you trust when everything tightens up? The guy who can give you 50 on the right night, or the guy who gives you 25 every single time? Drop your take in the comments. Let's really talk about it. And yo, don't ever forget to like, share, and subscribe to Boxing Headquarters. See you in the next one.